Good evening, everybody. We are reconvening from our special meeting. We had a special meeting at 4 o'clock, and I'm going to turn over to our city attorney to report out.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of the public, the council met in a special meeting beginning at 4 o'clock. There was one item on the agenda. No action was taken on that item in closed session.
You want to hear it twice because it's so compelling?
It's like Yankee Stadium.
So you can adjourn that meeting if you want.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and adjourn our special meeting, and now we will call to order the Clovis City Council meeting for June 16th at 6 p.m. And if you would all rise for the flag salute by Councilmember Ashbeck.
Please join me in saluting our flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The city clerk, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Councilmember Ashbeck.
Here.
Councilmember Baskell. Here. Councilmember Bessinger.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Pierce.
Here.
And Mayor Moanatua.
Here. Next is public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address this council on any matter within the city council's jurisdiction that is not listed on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. If anyone would like to address the council, you may do so at this time. If you can state your name and give your address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Steven Trevino. I live on Bullard. Recently, I just noticed right here on 5th Street here by the police station, we have a lot of kids across the street. I think it would be a good idea to put a crosswalk. And this isn't just during the week. This is 7 days a week because there are always kids are walking from where the police station is over to that field. And as a kid, we used to call that Kaiser Field. I don't know what they call it. Maybe they call it Clark Field. But anyways, I'm always seeing kids crossing the street with their parents and with wagons and whatever else. And I was also going to suggest you put a crosswalk right here where the full bowl is at. I know it's kind of close to the other crosswalk where the traffic light is at, but there's a lot of people that, people have been crossing through there down the alley for years. And I think it would be a good idea to put one there.
Where was the second one you said? Full of bull? I'm like,
That's what I heard.
I didn't think you really want a crosswalk, right? What was the second
full
one?
bowl sandwich shop, where Henry's Cantina used to be, that bar
Yeah,
right there.
that is what you said.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's what I thought you said, but I'm
Yeah.
like, well, wait, really? Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
the full bowl, Clovis Barbershop.
No,
is right
I'm
there.
with you. All right, I just want to make sure I was with you. I know exactly what you're talking about. I just wasn't sure that's what you said.
Okay.
All right, gotcha.
One more point, if I may. I wanted to commend the mayor Saturday morning. I wasn't expecting, I walked down to downtown Clovis. Saturday was Flag Day. I didn't realize it. I just went down. I went down there just because. But anyways, I went down there and I was surprised to see the mayor and one of the fellas from Channel 26 and some of the people from the Clovis Elks Lodge. Mm-hmm. But, you know, throughout my life, I've heard a lot of speeches. But the speech that the mayor gave that morning was one of the best I've heard in a very long time. And I don't know if anybody, I recorded it. I have a tiny little YouTube channel, but professionally, I wish someone would have recorded it because it was a very, I commend you, Mayor. It was a very good speech.
Thank you,
So,
Mr.
anyways,
Trevino.
thank you.
Yeah,
Nice.
thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close the public comments portion. Next is the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are routine in nature and are recommended for approval by the City Council. These items will be considered and voted on as a single item unless a council member requests separate consideration of any item. Does any council member like to remove any of the items from 1 through 12? Okay, seeing none. Anyone here in the public like to comment on the consent items 1 through 12? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that, bring it back to the council.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent calendar items 1 through 12.
Second.
Okay, we motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have couple public hearing items. The first one is item number 13. Consider various items associated with 7.45 acres of land located on the southwest corner of West Herndon and North Peach Avenues, Alliant Hospitality Incorporated owner, R.L. Davidson Incorporated applicant. Item A, consider approval of resolution, the City Council adopting an environmental finding of a mitigated negative declaration and a mitigated monitoring reporting program for R 2023-004, CUP 2023-004, and CUP 2023-005. Item B is consider introduction of ordinance for rezone 2023-004, an ordinance of the City Council approving a rezoning of 7.45 acres from the R1AH Single Family Residential Very Low Density Zone District to the CP Administrative and Professional Office Zone District. Staff on this is Mackenzie Perez, Deputy City Planner.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. So today you're going to be considering a rezone for property on the southwest corner of Herndon and Peach Avenue. As you see on the screen, it's surrounded by undeveloped property to the north and east. There is a medical complex that will be going up on the north end. And to the south, there's single family, and then you have a commercial office to the west. So the state does require that cities maintain consistent zoning with their land use. Our general plan designates the property as office, and the current zone district is R1AH, which is single-family residential, very low density, and that is not consistent with our office land use. So the applicant is proposing to change the zoning to the CP, Administrative and Professional Office Zone District, so that it is consistent with the office land use. So the Planning Commission did consider the project at their meeting on May 22nd. They also considered two CUP applications for hotel use that were for 350 rooms for two separate hotels. One is 108 rooms and the other is 242. They did recommend approval of those two CUPs. However, they do not come before City Council for approval. They did add a condition to the CUPs, and I'll kind of elaborate a little bit on that in the next, in a few slides. For this meeting, we did send a notice, and it was published in the Business Journal on May 30th. We also mailed notices to property owners within 600 feet. We did receive 2 comment letters. They were received before, or one was received before Planning Commission, and then the other right after Planning Commission. We haven't received any written letters or any phone calls since the notice went out for the council meeting. The letters that we did receive expressed several concerns. So one related to environmental analysis. So our typical studies for infill development include air quality, noise, transportation, wastewater, and water. All were completed for the project. The studies determined that there would be no significant impact. And a mitigating negative declaration and a mitigation monitoring and reporting program were prepared for the project. We also prepared a traffic impact assessment, and it determined that the level of service would be similar to that of existing conditions. The hotel would generate less trips than a medical office would during peak hours. 2 other concerns really related more to the actual development. One was the hotel use. Again, CP is a consistent zone district with the office land use, and that designation does allow hotels subject to a CUP. The other concern related to height. Hotels are allowed 55 feet in height. Anything above requires CUP approval. The majority of the structure is under the 55 feet. Through the CUP, they did request a height above 55, just under 60. For a portion of the building, the Planning Commission did add a condition that they would be limited to what they proposed in their conceptual plans so that they wouldn't go back up to something higher with that allowance. As I mentioned earlier, a mitigated negative declaration was prepared for the project, and it was posted for public review in April. We didn't receive any specific comments on the mitigated negative declaration. There is a mitigation monitoring and reporting program, and those mitigation measures will apply to the project when it's developed. Staff recommends that you adopt the environmental finding and that you approve the ordinance for the rezone to redesignate the site to CP. That concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions.
Are there any questions of staff at this time?
Just
Go ahead.
one quick process question. So the planning commission approved the CUPs
Correct.
pending the approval of this rezone?
Correct.
So from a public's perspective, if they had concerns about the CUP or the rezone, there's no going back to that, right? Because that's already
Correct.
approved as is, and we're just doing the rezone piece. yeah?
Correct. Yes.
All right. I might have more later, but I just want to be clear on that.
Any other questions for staff at this time? Okay. Mackenzie, I did have one. Did we, in the CP level, or have looked at the parking at all? Because I know that there probably won't be many more hotels coming in because, you know, we might be oversaturated, but the 1-to-1, or is this a 1 to 1.5?
1.2 is our
1.2?
parking requirement. Through the CUP, they did request modifications to parking. They do have a 1-to-1 parking ratio
Excellent.
still.
Okay.
So it's less than what we require, but still one per room. And then that was analyzed in the traffic analysis to make sure that they could reduce it to one.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Okay.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Are there going to be any modifications done to the McGill-Peach intersection?
So I'll go ahead and let Thad, if you want to touch on.
I just see that, I don't think it's going to create huge problems, but I think this needs to be tweaked a little bit.
So according to the traffic study, this project itself will not require any modifications to the intersections, but at full build-out, that intersection will need to be modified either to a signal or a traffic circle. Traffic circle is what's recommended by the traffic engineer that did the study. So this project will be required to do some type of modification to that intersection to get it to the point where it can be modified. We haven't decided whether or not it's going to be full build out, but we'll have to do some modifications.
Yeah, the traffic circle, I think there's 2 on McGill already, so that would not be I'm not a fan of the traffic circle, but it would be consistent. But yeah, I just see that when the other spaces that are currently vacant and, you know, just field, when those get built out, I can see that being a potentially problematic intersection. Thank you.
Any other questions for?
Another question. So this is not germane to the rezone, but since the CUP's already been approved, I'm going to ask it anyway. So it's so if I'm looking at the maps that we have, the access to this project is obviously not from Herndon, but is only off of McGill. Is that right?
Yes.
So, again, not germane, we've already done that apparently, but can you just say out loud, to me it seems pretty intrusive on a single-family neighborhood to have all of these parking spaces entering off really a neighborhood-ish street. So can you talk about just how are we gonna manage that, or what was the thinking, or, I hear Drew's question about a traffic circle. You weren't worried at all that all of these people, 400 people coming to this hotel, are all gonna go down McGill? Not on the same day, I get that, but anyway, you get my drift. It seems pretty intrusive on this neighborhood, and
Yeah,
I didn't
so-
see, I don't have anything to tell me what we did to mitigate that, because that's not what's in front of me right now, but maybe just for my education, please.
So since Herndon is considered expressway, we don't want to have any
Right.
additional accesses off of Herndon. And so this is similar to what's used in Fresno down the street along Herndon. A lot of the business complexes that front against Herndon have access off either the north or south side on a local road. So it's very similar, and it works.
It probably doesn't work exactly if you live there, I'm betting. I don't know if anybody's here that lives in that neighborhood, but I mean, you didn't have people complaining about that at planning commission or expressing concerns, or we don't have any course, I guess we have 2 letters. One speaks about the park, which is right there at the, looks like the entrance into the complex. There's a park across the street, is that right? Looking at the map and driving around, yeah? So no worries about any of that, proximity to kids playing in a park, nothing that you saw in the development or laying out of this? No?
Are you talking traffic-wise or?
Sure. Traffic-wise, people-wise, I don't know, traffic-wise, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure what the concern would be with that.
So the main entrance into, that's proposed is further out, so it doesn't connect to the local street in that neighborhood, and they're offset, and then the secondary one is also offset. So we are gonna do our review through the site plan review, so the proposed conceptual site plan may change, however, the main entrance for that is closer to McGill, so the majority of the traffic would be coming on site before it gets into the street for the residential neighborhood.
Okay, it's not germane to this, but I know there's no other place to have it germane, so I guess that's why I'm a little bit worried, because to me, it looks like it's entering right off of McGill. I don't have any other map to tell me otherwise, so that was where my questions came from. All right, thanks.
Any other questions of the staff at this time? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and open the public portion. If you have any comments on this item, you may come to the podium there, and please state your name and give your address for the record. There you go.
Hi, I'm Rose Coughlin, and I live in Clovis. I am an environmental professional, and I just want to be able to get this comment in before the mitigated negative deck for the CEQA. In terms of air quality, one of the issues that was raised when I finally got a chance to read some of the documents is that this was actually was used for dry farming. And when I put my statement in, I wasn't quite sure. I just naturally assumed that this had been used for farming. So one of the issues I'm raising, and I'm not sure where it should get into the record, is the fact that pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, all those kind of pesticides usually stay in the top 5 feet, if you will, because in Fresno we don't have that much rain, and if you were doing dry farming, that means you weren't using a lot of water. So that means that many of the environmental assessments, which I have done for over 40 years, actually have a blind spot when it comes to soil quality. And so because you're going to be kicking up the top 5 feet, most likely, digging utility trenches, et cetera, I don't see anything in the record where this has actually been discussed in terms of some sort of sampling for a potential former land use that actually was farming. I see that they mention, if you have an underground storage tank, be sure and do what you have to do to. So you actually wrote it in the conditions that if you have I think it was the Fresno Irrigation District mentioned, if you come across any substructures, be sure and make sure, because this had a structure on it and it actually had some substructures, which means they probably have a leach field, an old septic tank, et cetera, which would of course have to be sampled around. But I still think that we as a community, when it comes to environmental things, we're usually very focused on water quality when in fact with pesticides, because they don't travel very quickly and they actually stay absorbed to the soil longer, especially if there's not a lot of water or rain. And so your top 5 feet, if you did farming for as many years as this site probably had a farm, and then had weed killer, which Roundup, as you all know, is being sued royally because of cancer. So when you are going after the development of this land, the air quality testing, I don't think considered any of that, because at this point, this site hasn't had a trigger, which is why you would find it in a phase 1 environmental assessment, because most phase 1s actually just go out and look at the record in terms of what's been reported. And if you had a private sale of this land, there would never be a reason for somebody to come in and test the topsoil, the top 5 feet. So I'm just suggesting, and the reason I'm suggesting it also for the developers is because if this wasn't actually disclosed at the time of the sale, you can actually go after the former landowner who was the farmer and actually have them pay for any mitigation. So the current developer that has the CUP and the case in front of you actually wouldn't be out any money, but in order to protect your construction crew, which in most cases, if you have a delay, if they find something, you know, that it would completely delay the project. So just like at the Planning Commission, I kind of chatted a little bit with the developer and suggested that they maybe look into this ahead of time so that they don't wind up having the project stopped
Okay.
because of the need for mitigation.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close the public portion. So, the applicant is here? Yeah, right? I think I see Mr. Davis. Did you want to?
Good evening, members of the council. My firm, R.L. Davidson, did the Clovis Marriott also for the same people. And this hotel is going to be bringing another 350 rooms here that will be an outstanding example and benefit to the city of Clovis. We have worked with staff. McKinsey has prepared a brilliant staff report that was vetted, and we chatted about the height of the building. And I was able to point out that only, I think, 15% of the building parapets are in excess of the height maximum in the zone area there. So that's pretty well mitigated. Our parking analysis, we are showing that the actual usage for parking is going to be under the 1-to-1 ratio, and that we should be fine with the 1-to-1 ratio that we have on site. Everything that we've done, we have tried to design the project so that it is accessible for people coming to the project. Most will come from the east and the west. They'll have to turn onto Peach Avenue. There is not a lot of opportunity for access, as you know, and so we are limited to how we do that. The houses to the south of us, as you know, back up to McGill, and so the frontage there is going to be mainly tree-lined and should not impact those homes there. We've tried to do our best to give you a great project, and I think it will be. As to the environmental concerns, I feel like Cervantes and Don Quixote chasing an imaginary enemy here, where I don't think the amount of pesticides that were used on the property, if any at all, are going to be a problem to the future development of the project, unless we get sued by somebody who just likes to go around sue people. But I would think that the site would be pretty much contaminant-free, and don't anticipate any problems. And we would appreciate your approval tonight. And excuse my
questions
voice.
Any questions for Mr. Davidson?
Mr. Davison, is that your name?
Yes,
Thank
sorry.
you. Thank you. I appreciate the attention to the neighborhood. I think, there is no other access off except McGill. That's really the only choice you have. So I think attention to the landscaping and the sensitivity of those neighbors that have been there a long time and protecting that park and the kids that play there, I think that's all neighbors really want to know, is that some, 400 10-foot story buildings not coming to their neighborhood. So I think I appreciate your comments on that. That's what I was hoping to hear. So thank you for the comment.
Thank you.
Quite welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. Anyone else like to address the council? Okay, seeing none, we're going to close that, bring it back to the council. Any further questions, discussion, or if there's a motion? Anything?
I'm
Go
ready to
ahead.
make a motion if there's no discussion. Approve a resolution of the council adopting an environmental finding of mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for R 2023-004, CUP 2023-004, and CUP 2023-005. We can do these individually or do them both?
Let's do it individually, yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion, and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And introduce an ordinance of the Clovis City Council approving a rezoning of 7.45 acres from the R1 AH Single Family Residential Very Low Density Zone District to the CP Administrative Professional Office Zone District.
Can we get a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay.
I'll
We have a
second that.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Kenzie. Thank you, staff. Now we'll move to item 14, is a resolution approving the engineer's report for Assessment District 95-1, Blackhorse Estates, confirming the assessments for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Is it Jamar? Jamar Rushton, Management Analyst. Good.
So, good evening, council members. Under consideration this evening will be the budget for 2025-2026 Blackhorse Assessment District Areas 1 and 2. Brief history: on May 9th, Regency sent out council meeting notices to property owners to inform them of the proposed increased assessments for Benefit Area 1. This was approved previously at a council meeting in June of 2024. The Benefit Area 1 had an existing assessment per lot of $1,020. The proposed annual assessment per lot was approved to increase to $1,075, the rate proposed in the budget before you this evening. Benefit Area 2 had an existing assessment lot of $590, and there is no recommended change proposed at this time. If the action is approved this evening, the engineer's report will remain as written and submitted to the county to be updated, and the assessment rates for fiscal year 2025-2026 will then go into effect. Area 1 will be increased per previously approved Prop 218 vote for future capital improvement projects, and as stated previously, Area 2 has no recommended changes. At this time, that concludes a very brief presentation, and I'll open it for any questions.
Any questions of staff at this time? Go ahead, Drew.
This is the only assessment district that exists within the city limits, correct?
That is correct.
And it was a very good staff report. I found it to be very informative. There's a heading called Perpetual City Responsibilities. And I think it's important because the mistake that was made by prior councils doing this puts the onus on the city to basically fix the problems. And it's unfair to the people who live there because they have to pay the city of Clovis to fix their problems, and we charge them the rate that we pay the employees, which is not cheap. And I think, I hope with the escalators that are built into this, because there are escalators from this point forward, right?
Correct, $55 per
Right.
year for the next 5.
I'm hoping that covers the needs, because if I am on the council, if this comes back and because they don't have enough money and a increase in the fees isn't voted on by the people there, I'm going to want to extricate ourselves from this. This is really an unfair burden for the city of Clovis. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for staff? Okay. You still have a further presentation?
No.
Or just, okay. This time, we're going to go ahead and open up the public portion. Anyone like to address the council on this item? Okay. Seeing none, bring it back to the council. What's the direction?
I'll make a motion that we approve the engineer's report for Assessment District 95-1 Blackhorse Estates, confirming the assessments for the 2025-26 fiscal year.
You get a second? Okay, motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And just a quick comment to staff and residents who spent a lot of hours getting this right. Nice job.
Thank you.
Next is item 15. It's to conduct a public hearing and close assessment ballot election regarding a proposed assessment increase in landscape maintenance district number 1. And Timothy Brashears, the staff on this, our parks manager.
Would be, got it, all right. So, yeah, good evening, Mayor Manitowoc and council members. As you mentioned, Tim Brashears, City Clovis Parks Manager. Here tonight to discuss the Prop 218 assessment election that's been going on. Before we get going, I want to introduce Ed Espinoza with Francisco and Associates, who's been the LMD engineer who's helped us along. And if there's any questions that he may be able to help us with tonight, very happy to have him here, so thanks. All right. So of there's 50 benefit zones within the city of Clovis. We've recently had an election going on for benefit zone 4 and 5 to increase their assessment rates. Zone 4 is basically from Herndon north, east and west across the city. Sorry, I'm kind of going off my summary. So we've got an update of 52 benefit zones. And 4 and 5 are currently in the process of an assessment increase. Zone 4, this is just for the neighborhood park. So basically, with any residents live within about 1/3 of a mile from any of those neighborhood parks, and you can see from about Herndon up, they're currently paying $49.86 a year. The proposed increase is $15.14. That assessment was based on 2016, back up here. So it was based on 2016. So you can imagine doing business in 2025 on a 2016 budget. We're depleting resources in Benefit Zone 4. We're trying to get out in front of that. Benefit Zone 5, however, the last time that was assessed was 2013. So we've got basically a 12-year-old budget that we're doing business on. Those reserves have been depleted. We are trying to get to a point where we can stay even, and so we can maintain maintenance. Right now, we're at a severely reduced maintenance, which we've brought to council before to explain. So what we're proposing is in each case, we want to bring their assessment up to $65 annually. So that's about a $15 increase over the course of a year, with the CPI not to exceed 3%. The Consumer Price Index isn't always going to be 3% every year. It might be probably averages 1.5% to 2%. But in a case that we have an exceptional increase in inflation, this does protect the residents, so they're not stuck with that. Worst case scenario, if it stays at 3%, I think it comes out to $1.95 on top of the 65. So they're paying just under $67 a year. Educational outreach efforts. We've held a couple community meetings as the May 7th and May 8th. We've held them at parks within those zones, met with folks from the neighborhood. We also, with Chad's team, have done some social media outreach. The dates, April 30th, June 2nd, and then the anticipated June 11th. And then, so what we're hoping for is that tomorrow, the ballots will be counted tomorrow. And, we're hoping for this to pass so we can increase our maintenance levels and stay ahead, increase our maintenance levels in Zone 5 to maintain our parks like we all want to see them, stay ahead of it in Zone 4. We'll be doing this at the police and fire headquarters tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and reporting ballot count results on July 7th. And so part of the annual levy process, council must approve the 3 resolutions of initiation, intention, and the levy assessment. It will require a public hearing, engineer's report to be on file, and show all assessment areas and amounts. The assessment's added to the county property tax roll. So with the recommendation, it is lengthy, so I'm going to read this verbatim so I don't summarize this. So staff recommends that you conduct a public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2025-26 assessments for Landscape Maintenance District Number 1 and receive testimony regarding the proposed assessment increase in Benefit Zone 4 and Zone 5 within Landscape Maintenance District Number 1, and accept ballots for the assessment increase election until the close of the public hearing, and state that the ballots will be unsealed and tabulated on June 17th, 2025, and June 18th, if necessary, in the city of Clovis Police and Fire Headquarters located at 1233 5th Street starting at 8 a.m. And that any interested person may attend and observe the tabulation process, and continue the consideration of the proposed assessment increase to July 7th, 2025 for the announcement of the results of the assessment ballot tabulation for each zone and determination of whether a majority protest exists for either zone and further proceedings in accordance with the Government Code Section 53753, and to confirm the fiscal year 2025-26 assessments within Landscape Maintenance District Number 1. So that sums it up, and Scott's here to answer any questions should you have any.
Okay, does any member of the council have any questions for staff? No? Okay. At this time, the public hearing for the assessment increase in benefit zone 4 and 5 within Landscape Maintenance District Number 1 is now open. Comments can be provided and ballots can be submitted until the close of the public hearing tonight. Anyone wishing to withdraw a previously submitted ballot can do so. Anyone wishing to submit a new ballot in place of a ballot previously submitted may do so. Only one ballot per parcel will be accepted and counted. No ballots may be accepted or withdrawn once the public hearing is closed. Is there anyone present who would like to submit or withdraw a ballot? And Scott, if they have comments also, is it this time?
Yeah, any comments would be acceptable as well.
Yeah, so if you have any comments on this item, you may do so at this time as well. Not just, okay, seeing none. At this time, does anyone, okay, here it is, from the public wish to make a public comment on this item? No? Okay. At this point, the public hearing is now closed. Does the clerk have a count or estimate of the number of ballots returned?
Yes, Mayor. We have an estimated more than 1,000 for Zone 5 have been received, as well as 1,000 for Zone 4, more than. These are estimated.
Okay, given the number of ballots returned, the ballot tabulation cannot take place tonight. The ballots will be unsealed and tabulated in public viewing beginning at 8 a.m. on June 17, 2025 at the City of Clovis Police and Fire Headquarters located at 1233 5th Street, and any interested person may attend and watch the ballot unsealing and tabulation process. The tabulation will be conducted from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and if not completed tomorrow, will commence again at the same location at 8 a.m. on June 18, 2025 until completed. At this time, I will entertain a motion to accept the ballots and continue this matter to July 7, 2025 meeting for the report of election results following completion of the ballot tabulation process.
So moved.
Wait a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, that concludes the public hearings. This time we'll move to city manager comments.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Our rec team is out going around. They are going to be at Railroad Park on the 18th at 5 p.m. So get out there with your family and enjoy a night in the park. Another quick update, we are down to the last few days. We're accepting applications for our youth commission. Applications are on back and online. So if you know a youth here in Clovis, have them apply. A Furry Freedom Fest is coming on the 28th, this Saturday, June 28th, where it's a pet-friendly 4th of July celebration. So no fireworks, but lots of other fun stuff going on. And then Freedom Fest for the humans on July 4th at the La Monica Stadium. Come on out for that. And I also wanted to highlight Measure C is doing a workshop here in Clovis on July 15th at the Clovis Transit Center. And then tomorrow night, we have a community meeting in the Loma Vista area at Reagan Elementary to discuss a new park site being developed in that area. It's at 6 p.m. at Reagan. So I wanted to bring that up. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor.
Now we'll go into council comments. Councilmember Basco? Councilmember Bessinger?
I'd like to join Mr. Trevino in praising the mayor. I unfortunately missed it, but I talked to people who said that they were moved to tears by your speech, and you are an excellent mayor for the city, and we're proud of you.
Thank you, Councilmember Bessinger. Okay, Councilmember Ashby?
Just continue to work on Measure C, day in and day out. So, more to come.
And then Mayor Pro Tem Pierce?
I too received compliments on the Flag Day celebration and your participation, so I'll echo those statements as well. And just a thank you to the Clovis Elks for putting that on. I also was not able to attend this time, but I've attended it previously, and it's just a really special time to kind of refocus on what the flag means and to have people come and do the different presentations that they do, and some of the youth are involved and everything. So and I also know that there were some other organizations that hosted Flag Day celebrations. So I know there's a lot of great patriotic celebrations going on across the city on Saturday. And so just commending that and all those who participated. But again, echoing those compliments to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Okay, I wanted to just say Champ Camp was amazing. I dressed down.
I saw a picture of you. I was so proud of you that you didn't have on a suit and tie. I didn't even recognize you. You're hard to miss, but I did pick you out of a crowd.
But I didn't stay, Chief. Who won the chili?
It was Fresno
Oh,
Fire.
man, again?
This is, they won last year. They won. Okay. All right, we'll get them next year. I do appreciate Clovis PD joining Clovis Fire up there, that they actually came up and so participated. And then I wanted to report that Turnkey, which is sort of solar, in-home audio, they bought the whole block where, what was the old tortilla factory?
It was Miranda Tortilla Factory.
Yeah, for them to just come to semi-old town and just gonna turn that whole place, that is amazing that they are investing here in Clovis, and they're just excited to be here. And so, to Chad being there, so that was just awesome to see that. And that's all I have. So we are now gonna move into closed session. We have 2 items on closed session. First is conference with labor negotiators, and so we'll do that. And the second one is public employee performance evaluation. Does anyone in the public like to address the council on these? Yes, you can. This is the time.
Actually, I jokingly said when I saw this on the agenda that I would like to say something, and I didn't get my information in. Back in the day when we did 360-degree evals, you send them out to everyone to roll them up into your evaluation. So, but Andy has always been approachable, reasonable. If he doesn't know, he says he doesn't know, which means a lot. And so, yeah, he's just been amazing since the day I came here in, like I said, 2019, and met him at Citizens Academy, which I also wish you'd start up again because it's awesome. So, in fact, that would be a great thing to do for the Youth Commission.
Yeah. Thank you, Rose, for those
yes.
comments. Anyone else? Okay. And I don't think we will have anything to report out, Scott, or?
No, we're not requesting action on either item tonight, so no
Okay.
report.
All right. Thank you for attending.